Hello everybody, today I'm going to be doing an exciting abstract, and it's a new sort of thing that I've been doing lately and just using a credit card. Okay, and I've wet the paper already with this hake brush. I'm using a few paints here. I'm using over here a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm using a little bit of a purplish, darker purplish bluish kind of paint, and also a bit of neutral tint here. So you just basically squeeze out a little bit of these paints onto a card. I think I've got a bit of turquoise as well, a little bit of turquoise. So basically having a few combinations of light and dark colors, cool and warm colors. I use that top part of the card as well to sort of indicate the sky, where you've got a bit of that turquoise or the bluish sort of color. Okay, and there we go. I'm just going through and putting in, just dropping in the paint from that card. And it's really fun to do this. You never know exactly what's going to happen. And I actually had flipped the card the wrong way, and I ended up putting the bits of warmer colors, the orange and the yellow ochre, just up the top. So I'm just working with that now, and notice you can also scratch little bits and pieces out. As you can see, you can scratch in highlights using the edge of the card. Okay, and I'm basically just trying to shift this paint around and create just some interesting mixes on the paper. And you'll be surprised actually that how much paint you need for this. Just make sure before you start as well, make sure you wet that paper quite significantly. I actually wet the paper on both sides to make sure it stays completely flat, but you can also just wet the front part of the paper as well. I've picked up a little bit of carbazole violet, which is a staining and non-granulating violet, which I've just decided to put in some kind of shape here on the left hand side. It could be a tree or something like that, and I'm really liking how the sort of warmth on that right hand side is coming out. It almost looks like a bit like a bushfire or something, or a sunset, depending on how you see it. And you can pick the bit of paper up as well, as you can see what I'm doing, and shift the water around. It's just amazing. It's so relaxing to see all the paints just shift around on the paper, and your mind just start to interpret shapes and a scene in here. To me, it kind of looks a bit like a lake or something in the middle. In the background, there could be a bit of a sunset with some trees going through. I've taken out a bit of paint, a little bit of black paint, black watercolor paint, and I'm just dropping that in to see what happens, because I do feel that it just needs a bit more strength in the foreground. And again, you can scratch out little shapes, as you can see, just little bits of white highlights running through everything to interrupt that darkness. It can be so important to have balance of light and dark colors and warm and cool colors in your painting. Got a little bit more of that black paint. I'm dropping some more closer to the horizon line and also into that tree shape on that left hand side. We can also start bringing in a brush to get in some branches, sort of stretching up into the sky like that. A bit of that violet, because we've got all this warmth and orangey yellow color on that right hand side. So I picked a bit of violet to help create some contrast and maybe complementary there. And it's so important to make sure you don't overdo things as well. I think at this point I've added probably a bit too much black to the foreground. If I were to do this again, I would have gone in with some more earth tones, so maybe a bit more geothite.
If you like this video, check out the playlist on the right. I release new tutorials and art supply reviews each week to help you progress faster in your watercolor journey.